Oh boy. So, I've actually been thinking of making a video like this for a long time, but I was never really sure when to get into it. But now, with the release of Age of Imprisonment, I thought this would be the perfect time to jump in and try my hand at this. I'm sure the internet will be incredibly respectful towards any opinions expressed in this video, as they always are. Oh yeah, spoiler alert and stuff if you haven't played these games, which would be weird if you're clicking on this video. So, let's talk Zelda. Everybody's favorite franchise to debate on nonsense like timelines and canon and whether or not Tingle is the series' main protagonist. What I really want to talk about is storytelling. More specifically, the direction that the storytelling has been moving in over the past few games. Rather than giving us strictly linear stories as in the classic titles, the Switch Zelda mainline games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, follow a sort of piecing the story together as you go style that Nintendo no doubt thought was conducive to a more open world structure. And on the surface, you can kind of see where they're coming from. I mean, it would be pretty annoying if you went to the Rito area first and ended up skipping some important context for the other areas, so each part of the map was designed more or less self-contained, so you wouldn't have to worry about that kind of narrative mess when the player inevitably went their own way. But, with the release of Age of Imprisonment, things have taken a turn back to a more traditional style of storytelling that I've been seeing a lot of debate about online. Does it work? Did the imprisoning war really need to be fleshed out like this? Is linear storytelling really better than what we had before? For context, let's talk about how Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom handled its backstory. Scattered throughout the map for both were these memories that would shed a little light on Link and Zelda's horrible PTSD. Now, some of you probably think, oh, I really like how they handled these. They were interesting and gave us a lot of depth on the characters. And yes, you'd be right. It's just a shame they're not part of the actual game. See, in Breath of the Wild, we pretty much know how things turn out from the start. Link wakes up alone, Zelda says, come find me, King says everything's been awful for 100 years, boom, done. Even with the extra content, we're mostly just seeing how things fell apart. And you can watch the memories in any order without any problem. In Tears of the Kingdom, though, total opposite problem. See, Nintendo thought, oh hey, that memory mechanic was a great idea, we should bring that back. Except just like in Breath of the Wild, you can view these out of order, meaning that one of the first ones you can see is Queen Sonia dying. Yep, that character who is Zelda's surrogate mom and certified furry lover, gone. Taken out. Which means when you finally do go back and see the other memories, all the air has been completely sucked out of the room because you know she's destined for that Ganon backbreaker. Now, how does Age of Imprisonment change things? Well, for one, it's just a story told from start to finish. No weird memento, out-of-order weirdness, no piecing anything together. It's just a linear story with a beginning, a middle, and an end. It has peaks and valleys, and it can breathe when it needs to. And frankly, I found that very refreshing. Don't get me wrong, I love Breath of the Wild, I love Tears of the Kingdom too, maybe even more than Breath of the Wild, but I also love classic Zelda. Wind Waker could tell a fine story without giving the player too much freedom. Twilight Princess could make me care about Midna and the world without letting me traipse all over Hyrule at my leisure. And in that way, Age of Imprisonment reminded me that Zelda is at its best when they're just allowed to tell the story they want to tell. Did you even know that the sages had names before this game came out? I didn't. And Roru in Tears of the Kingdom was just the guy who gives you his arm. I never felt any real connection to him. But in Age of Imprisonment, I can actually see what's going on and how he is as a character, and he's actually pretty chill. Definitely one of the better Hyrule Kings, for real. Now, I'm not saying Age of Imprisonment is perfect or anything. It's definitely got its flaws and some filler characters. It is a Warriors game, after all. But I can confidently say I cared more about the sages and Zelda and all of this stuff than I did anything in Breath of the Wild or Tears of the Kingdom, because I was given the ability to see them in more than a passing glance. I was there from the beginning to the end, not just witnessing ancient history from a distance.
What were you writing there?
Lenalia, you are a true queen. And really, I think that's what modern Zelda is missing. Stakes. We need to be able to actually care about the characters, to feel something for them, not just how hot Turo is and how much we want to smooch him. Sorry. Now, before everyone calls me a hater, let me say this. I'm not saying that Tears of the Kingdom doesn't do anything right on the character front. I think the likes of the modern sages got some much-needed limelight. Riju, Sidon, Tulin, and the other one all felt much more fleshed out and part of the journey than the old sages did in Breath of the Wild. There was a real sense of camaraderie there, like we were all fighting to save Hyrule together. We got to see Sidon's insecurities and Tulin's adorable impulsiveness, and Riju stepping in to fill Urbosa's shoes. Oh, and, Yunobo's capitalist brainwashing scheme? Yeah. I just think it suffers from the compartmentalization issue that happens all over Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild. Characters are only allowed to interact if it's at the end of the game and you've gotten them all, which, again, is understandable. Meanwhile, in Age of Imprisonment, Artie is defiant to Ganon's reign and takes over as de facto chief when he goes full Demon King. She's not even really on board with asking Roru's help at first. She has to be coaxed out of her pride by rank insubordination. It's a wonder Shalani wasn't fed to a Molduga. Then you've got the likes of Kia, the impulsive and bloodthirsty queen of the Zora who just lost her father and is ready to smash some bokoblin heads in. Basically the polar opposite of Mipha, and an interesting take on a Zora character that are all usually docile and peaceful. Plus she's like a narwhal? Or something? That mask must be pretty uncomfortable. Oh, and Rafika has a sick pompadour, so that's cool. It's not even to mention the addition of Kalamo and his bud. I know they call him the Night Construct, but his name is Bud. I don't make the rules. I wasn't really sure if I'd like these two, as they're basically new additions, and Hyrule Warriors can have a pretty hit-and-miss track record with their original characters. But I am very happy to say I loved these two. They're ridiculous, and they're odd, and they barely feel like they belong at times, but their story culminates in a way I never expected, and I think the game would be way worse if they were left out. That ending is just, wow. Chef's kiss, no notes. The focus is always on Zelda and Roru, but the bits we get to see of these characters is enough to keep me satisfied in a way that I wish Breath of the Wild could have done. I wanted to see more of the sages and Link, but I always felt like the game didn't want to give it to me. Like the story was just an afterthought to the gameplay. And that's a shame from a franchise that can and has done story so well. If there's one thing I hope Nintendo learns from the Switch Zelda games, it's that players need more than exciting gameplay additions or unprecedented freedom. We need reasons to care about the worlds they drop us into. We need Hyrule to be more than a bunch of historical documents that we have to trudge through that don't even really relate to the modern world we're playing in. If past Zeldas did it, why can't modern ones? Why can't Nintendo? Also, Artie is best girl.